Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. This is Will. I'm back with another Connect United video. A couple of things happening in the last few days. This week we have a bunch of Zoom calls with different representatives of some of these companies. The community is so excited with all the innovations and the huge earning potential we have right here with the help of Connect United. I have a few videos talking about some of those companies. We went over Switch. We talked already about Galvin. Today we're going to talk about Grow. I want to share part of the Zoom call we had yesterday. It doesn't matter if you are planning to get involved or not. In my opinion, these innovations are really going to change the world. Now, if you want to get involved with this specific company and start to receive rewards that later on you can switch into different cryptocurrencies, then this smart node is going to cost you 4,600. If you don't know what is this and how it works, well, Connect United is an ecosystem where you're going to find all of these companies offering real solutions to the world with the help of blockchain. All we need to do is help them to build a network by running their software. Those softwares are called nodes. We can use our computer to do that, or we can use a private cloud server that is going to be running 24/7. That's the best option. They've been doing this for many years now. These nodes got started at a very low prices, but through the years, these companies are becoming more popular, a lot of liquidity going in. That is making those nodes go higher in price, but also are going to give you higher rewards. We have Rally Smart Node and Rev Smart Node. Right now, the price of those nodes is sitting in 2,500 each, but after the 30th of April, the price is going to increase. So if you want to take advantage of this price and get started earlier, you only have 3 days left. They also have another option right here. It's called the Fast Stack. This is basically a package that has at least one node of each one of these companies. And there is a discount. Let me show you. If you click in this button, there is a discount of 1,500 USDT. So in the end, you pay only 25,000. All right. That's an amazing option to start reaping rewards from all of these companies. The earning potential from this package only, it's amazing. If you want to see how that works, I'm going to put a video right here in the top corner where you can see the evolution of the accounts from some other members. I'm not allowed to talk about the returns right here. That goes against the terms and conditions. But if you want more information about this, just get in touch with me and I can give you all that info. Plus, if you see the potential in this opportunity, but still you think this is too high for you at the moment, there is an option where you can hold one node and it works the same like holding, let's say, Bitcoin. The value is going to increase through time. And if you're looking for an opportunity that is going to be here for a long term, you should definitely take a look at Connect. And now there is a promotion where you can get started with only 500 USDT. That is if you purchase the Win node. Right here says 2,000, right? But check it out. If I click right here, it's going to give me these options. I don't know how long this promotion is going to be open, but at the present moment, you have a 1,500 discount. So for this node, 2,000, you only pay 500 USDT. And still, if you want to put the 2,000 there, then you can apply the four coupon codes. And now you get not only one, but 4 nodes for only 2,000 USDT. I'm also have a full guide on how to get started. Just get in touch with me and I can give you all that information. What I'm going to do now is play this Zoom call with William Taylor, the CEO of Growth. And that's it. Enjoy it, guys.
So the Grow blockchain, our entire goal is to harness blockchain technology to nourish people, animals, and the planet. And I'm going to go through how we're going to do that today and help all of us wrap our head around why blockchain, in my opinion, Ryan's opinion, Brian's opinion, Billy's, is the most innovative tech on the planet matched with AI. And the decentralization of that tech is the key for me to move humanity into the greatest time period that we've ever lived in. I'm young. I guess everything is relative, right? But I'm fairly young, and I used to think when I was about 25 to 35 I used to wish that I grew up in a different time. I'd go watch a Braveheart, a Saving Private Ryan, some amazing drama movie. I was like, man, those times were where the world changed. What happened during that decade is what moved the world into this new revolution or something. And I used to wish that I was born in a different time. When I was introduced to blockchain, all of that changed. And I woke up to the realization that I am exactly where I need to be in this life to be a part of moving us forward into true decentralization and having this tech. And so as I go through this tonight, like think through and try to understand at the depth that I do and we do that we are at the beginning, the precipice of what will be what the internet was in 1995 for the next 3 decades. That is what we are talking about. And our ability as a community is the reason that it will move forward. And I'll dive more into that in a little bit. So who am I? Why the heck should you listen to me? Why am I here? So my name's Will. Ryan gave me an amazing introduction. I appreciate that, Ryan. We met. Ryan and I went to breakfast, and I go to breakfast with quite a few people. You do these lunches, and within 5 minutes, I knew that Ryan and I would connect. And a 30-minute breakfast turned into about 3 hours, and then another dinner and another meeting. And so it's really been amazing to get to know him, introduce him to more people, and see that grow. So I live in Puerto Rico. I have 3 children now. I have a 2.5-month-old baby little girl that just joined us. And some of my background, I'm from the fitness industry. So when I graduated college, I played rugby professionally and I went to get an MBA, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to change the world in whatever way I could, use my passion and my talents to grow. And so that led me to buying gyms. And so I walked into a CrossFit gym to join the gym and ended up buying the gym instead. And so I went home to my wife and I said, "Hey," she said, "Hey, did you join the gym?" I said, "No, honestly, I didn't really like it, but I found out the owner's moving to Africa and he said he'll sell it to me." And 2 months later, I owned the gym. And that led me down this rabbit hole of fitness and health coaching. And my best friend from college, we played rugby together. He's a multi-generational farmer. In fact, in these right 2 pictures, if you look, I'm okay, but I really want you to think about everything behind me in those pictures. Those fields and that mountain is 17,000 irrigated acres of farmland. And my buddy's family runs all of that. And he was working on it. He went home, he gained like 20 pounds. And so he called me and said, "Hey, man, I'm fat. I need you to help me lose some weight." So I started working with him. We got him shredded and lean so you could see his abs again. And in that process, he realized, and something I had kind of already known, was that the quality and quantity of the food that we eat is the number one lever that we can pull in our health environments. And so if you want to live a healthy, vital life, the food that you input in both quality and quantity, that changes the game more than anything that you can do. And so in that process, he said, "Dude, we're making all this food. They have 80,000 cows, milk, beef, cherries, potatoes, apples, and nobody cares that we're growing it regeneratively and putting in all this blood, sweat, and tears to grow it. Will you help me build an app that will show people that what we're doing on the farm actually matters, and that what that whole process can you help us make more money? Can you help us show it? Can you track and trace it?" And I said yes. And that led to this picture, which was the last day in my gym, where I closed this gym down. I sold another one, and I went all in on the food space and co-founded a company called Grow United, with the mission to nourish people, animals, and the planet. And just some backstory, we were running that for about 2 years. We built the app. I'm going to show you guys the app in just a second. And we knew we needed blockchain. And we started going to get blockchain reps and consultants, and how can we put it on blockchain? And they wanted millions of dollars to do it. And one day I sat back and I said, "I know this is the thing, and I know it's not time yet, but when the time is right, we're going to do this for real." And about 2 months after I had that, I met Wright and Rhett, who may be some of the best blockchain people in the world. He was one of the biggest Bitcoin miners in the world. And they said, we want to change the world in food, and we need a tech that will track and trace the food. And I said, well, I already built that. And if you guys have the blockchain side, we'll merge in the tracing side. And so 2 weeks after our first meeting, we merged everything together, and I've never looked back. So just kind of some backstory for you guys on how we got to the Grow blockchain. And so the Grow blockchain is what decentralizes food and is the tech that powers everything that we've ever wanted to do to nourish the planet. So our goal and our vision is to decentralize the global agriculture and farming industry, because like you saw in that video, 10 massive public companies run the entire food system worldwide. They also, with Monsanto, run everything that happens to our soil and to growing food. This has led to some massive, massive problems. And that biggest problem is centralization. And so when you guys look at blockchain, some of you may be new to blockchain, some of you may be deep in it, maybe you own some Bitcoin. But the key idea to understand here is that what blockchain allows us to do when it is leveraged properly is to take a centralized system and completely decentralize it and put the power where it should be, which is in the producers and the consumers within that ecosystem. And so when you look at any single project inside of Connect, the entire reason that it was built is because we identified a centralized system with massive issues that could be solved with decentralization. And the first thing that has to happen before anything can be decentralized is we need me and you to run nodes inside of that project, okay? It's a really important thing to wrap your head around, because it took me a minute to wrap my head around it. And I meet with a lot of people, a lot of very wealthy, powerful people that have made hundreds of millions and billions of dollars in what I call Web 2 normal businesses. And what we are doing disrupts all of that. And the base of it is you have nodes that are running, and you have a community of people that believe in what you're doing that can then build the base foundation to go on top of. And so for a visual representation of that, imagine if this graphic on the right only had the circles that are in the middle. So you see the purple one, the light blue one, the other blue one, and then the green one. Let's say it only had those four around blockchain. Well, what does that look like? It looks like a little bit better version of the one on the left, which is just a really, really big circle for centralization. And so you are the reason that this can go. And so when Ryan was saying before of, is this a home run? Is it guaranteed? No, nothing is. But you want to know what is absolutely guaranteed right now is that we have a community of people that believe in what we're doing. We have started a food revolution in the projects that we built, and it's growing on a daily basis. And as that continues to grow, and as we take the things that I say and the things that you learned tonight to people that believe in it, and we start getting more and more nodes active, what it does is it becomes the fuel to the fire that is already built. And there's going to come a point, I'm telling you, where it's just going to explode. And it all starts with building this graphic on the right with more and more lines and more individual dots running and growing and getting it. Does that make sense? Amazing. All right, I see a lot of head nods. So now that we understand that, we have our base understanding of why decentralization is so important, how blockchain and node ownership ties into that. This is how we build on top of it. So you guys already know this, hopefully, and if you don't, just a quick reminder, why even blockchain outside of decentralization? That is the biggest key. But what it does is it tactically allows us to have data control, because it can be open source and publicly shared while also creating a proof of identity behind private keys. So for all of you that own Grow nodes, you have a Grow wallet that we do not custodian, that is your wallet behind private keys. I don't know your name. I don't know your data. All of that allows us in a lot of different ways to come back to true data ownership. It's immutable. It cannot be hacked, and it cannot go forward. When I show you Farm Tracer, I actually did this once as an exercise. I'm a very average like hacker. In fact, if anybody in here can actually computer program, you would laugh at my skill set. But when Farm Tracer was a web-based application, I could hack it and go in and say, hey, change the date of this cow and change this food, and nobody would know. I could change the data and nobody would know if I was good at hacking, and I'm not even that good at it. And then lastly, it records and tracks assets and transactions. And as I talk tonight specifically about Grow, before I even get into these points, what we want in all of our projects is for people to believe in the mission that that project has, because that is what's going to add the fuel to the fire for us to be able to grow. And there's a lot of ways to believe in it. There could be, I believe in where this is going from a utility standpoint. I believe in the mission as a consumer or a producer. And so my goal today as a representative of the Grow community is to show you the utility that we have, which all that means is, how the heck do I actually use the node, use the technology, and then does that token have a use case for us to be able to use? Is it backed by real assets? And if anybody made a lot of money on Bored Apes and NFTs, I'm sorry, but that's like the dumbest use case for humanity. Paying $100,000 for a picture of a graphic of a monkey doesn't help move humanity forward at all, okay? But what things do is when they're backed by real assets, and that's what our projects are about. And then do you have a team of people that you can believe in? So when I think about Grow and our mission, I have to think about two people, and every single one of you will fall into one of these two categories or maybe both. The first one is we have to make the producers the hero of the story again. We do not know where our food comes from. 100 years ago, we pretty much knew because we were either growing it or killing it ourselves, or we got it from a local neighbor. Now, with global infrastructure, we will never go back to that. That is why having blockchain allows us to move forward. Kind of going back to, I wish I was born in a different era. I used to watch I grew up on John Wayne movies. My dad's in the military still. He's a 2-star general. So I grew up with like old Green Beret movies and John Wayne and all that. So I used to think, even when I got married, I'd say, oh, I just want to move to the ranch. And you guys will all meet Austin one day, and I'll talk about him here in a second. I'm not the real cowboy. I'm the guy that shows up to the horse in my Lululemons and tennis shoes that all the real cowboys make fun of. And then when I put my jeans on and try to ride, I can just barely keep up. And so my goal is to make the real guys, the guys that are doing it every day, the hero of the story again. And this is just an example of that. This is Austin Allred, my best friend's farm. Well, all of you and me included were eating our food on Thanksgiving Day, smashing our turkey, eating our pie. They were putting out fires that burned over $1 million of hay, and their entire community jumped in and helped them, because if they would have lost all their hay, they wouldn't have been able to feed their cows. Their dairy would have stopped producing. They wouldn't have meat, and they wouldn't have had some of the organic fertilizer that they use on all of their farms for cherries and apples. So that's the work that goes in to getting our food, and we just have no idea. That's a problem in my mind. We want to bring that back and make the producers the hero of the story. And then for all of us, how many ate today? Anybody eat today? Amazing. You guys are awesome. All right, we all ate. I've done this a couple times, and I've had one person that was at the end of a 72-hour fast. And so usually I'll have a faster on. But all of us have to eat. Maybe you go 5 days, 7 days. I have a friend actually who just finished a 40-day fast, but that's the most I've ever seen outside of Jesus. So all of us have to eat at some point. Our goal is to return the confidence that we have in the trust and quality and source of our food. And let me do a quick bet with you guys to prove my point here. So this is a real bet. I want you guys to play with me for a second. Just close your eyes. I want you to think about all of the food that you ate in the last 72 hours. Okay? Just think about some of the food. All right, you got some of it. If you can tell me where it came from, what went into growing it, and the carbon footprint of that, I'll have a grow node assigned to you within the next 48 hours. Can anybody win that bet? Nope. All right, I've given that bet to probably 10,000 people yet, and I haven't lost it. My goal is to lose that bet. One day I'll lose that bet. And I've done it with Bitcoin before. Sometimes I tell people I'll send them a Bitcoin, and maybe one day I'll actually send someone a Bitcoin because they'll know. But that is the goal. That's the goal of Grow, is to be able to know where our food came from, what went into it, how did it nourish the planet, so that we can, with our mission at Grow, nourish the world with transparency, traceability, and trust. And so this is a quick graphic of how you think about blockchain. So this is, as you come into the blockchain world, what the heck is it? What does it do? Well, what a blockchain becomes is it's this base foundational technology, particularly in the way that we build it, to become a true layer one that things can be built on top of. And then, as you see in this graphic, you create projects that come in and tie to different use cases in blockchain. And there's about probably hundreds of ways that companies can use this blockchain and leverage it to make their company better, more traceable, more user-friendly, and more decentralized. And so when you think about anything that we're doing inside of our Connect world, this is how you think about it. And then when you look at the projects, it's like, okay, this is how that project ties in. This is how it adds utility to the blockchain. This is how it adds utility and use case inside of the token. And so the Grow blockchain is all about nourishing the world, people, and animals, okay? So it's all in the ag space. So I'm going to show you some projects that we've built. So this is the Farm Tracer software. This is tracing the world's food. And Brian mentioned Hawaii. So this picture right here, can everybody see the picture of me in Austin or no? No, okay.
No.
Let me stop sharing really quick and share again. What about now? See that ugly guy on the left?
Yep.
All right, perfect. He's been my best friend for a decade. If he was here, he'd give it back to me. So it's a little unfair that he can't give it back to me here, but this is Austin. So Austin runs Royal Ranch. We built Farm Tracer together. We flew him out and we shipped out all of this meat and this honey and other food from his farm. And if we scroll in here, you see this QR code on every single bit of the food. So what that QR code is it allows us to scan it. And that way, everybody that ate dinner with us that night was able to go to farmtracer.com, scan that QR code, which then pulled up this page. So you see the animal ID 64761. They were able to see the origin, the growth, the breed, the conversion of that cow, everything that that cow ate down to the half of a pound, and the carbon footprint of that cow. So when we ate the Grow dinner in Hawaii, every single person knew what went into the food that they were eating that night. And why is that cool outside of just that piece right there? Is because it makes the producer the hero of the story again. So Austin, when we built Farm Tracer, he was able to go to Climate Pledge Arena, which those of you that know Amazon, most of us know Amazon here, they bought this arena that the Supersonics used to play at. And when they bought it, they said all the food that has to come in here has to meet all these stipulations. And nobody could meet it for beef until they met Royal Ranch and Farm Tracer, which then led to an annual 7-figure contract at higher margins than Royal Ranch was getting anywhere else. And now has led to partnerships where we sponsor the NHL Kraken, the NFL Seahawks, feed a lot of their players, and are working on other major sports teams and actually back to the rugby world for both Austin and I, which is kind of fun. We're also taking the same technology into the legal cannabis space. So our ability to track and trace food is using the blockchain to then leverage that. Now, I told you guys there'd be some new stuff. So at the end of Q2, so we're looking here in about a month, you will be able to take your Grow token, and from our partner farms that are farm traced, you'll be able to use that token to actually get food. So that distribution of your token, you can actually turn it into a steak that's being shipped to your house. So when you talk about use case, okay, when you talk about what can I actually do with this stuff, you can turn it into food that you can eat that can then nourish your body. And right now we have a massive wait list of farms that want to come on and offer that. we are just being very picky about who comes in on the farm tracing side, because we want to make sure that operationally we have the ability to truly track and trace, because blockchain is amazing. It's still only as good as the data you put in. And so if I'm putting in bad data, I still have bad data. It can't be hacked and it moves forward, but I still need to make sure that we have really, really good systems to track and trace the data that's coming in from the food that's being verified on the blockchain. And so just for you guys to understand as kind of insiders of Grow in our community, is that's a really big problem. Like when you talk about tracking and tracing the global food system, it is a massive lift, because every single thing and ingredient that gets produced is produced in a different way. The way we do beef is completely separate from the way we do cherries. And the way that we do potatoes is completely different than we do apples. And milk is different than eggs. Okay. But the way that we get the producers on board for this is us. Because the more demand there is from us to want to know where our food came from and use the token to be able to either get a discount, a rebate, or buy that food, it drives them to go do the work to come in and track and trace. And so it's kind of a push and pull, where we are very much wanting to pull the producers with us as the consumers, because we're raising our hands to say, hey, I want to know where my food comes from. I want to know what's in that. And I want to know what those 90 ingredients on the back of the ingredient list are that I have no idea how to pronounce. Or actually, I want to get rid of them because they're probably causing all of the chronic disease issues that we have today. So that's the goal with Farm Tracer. All right, I'm going to move on to our another project, and I promise I'll keep this up. But you guys having fun? We're still good? All right, I'll liven it up here. This is the most exciting update in the blockchain world, worldwide, today that you guys will all hear, for me at least. So if you don't know what carbon credits are, let me give you a little bit of an education before I talk about the exciting things that are going on there. So carbon credits, they can kind of be broken down into two main categories. All of this is the amount of carbon that is being emitted into the atmosphere. And there's a lot of news and there's a lot of things about carbon, but there are ways to reduce it and there are ways to capture it that are beneficial for the environment, regardless of where you stand on carbon credits. Planting more trees, regenerative farming, shutting down more coal mines. All of those things lead to a better environment, which goes back to our vision, which is nourishing the world. And so through regenerative farming, we are able to capture these credits. So all you need to think about is a carbon credit is something that's created by either emitting less carbon or sequestering carbon. And then those credits can be sold to a company that emits more carbon than they sequester. Okay. And that is every Fortune 100 company in the world right now. So it was a $414 billion market in 2023 and is expected to be $1.5 trillion as we get into 2030. The biggest issue in this market is transparency and traceability issues are expected to hamper the growth of the market. And here's an example of that. Delta's in $1 billion lawsuit right now because the credits that they purchase were not verified and they were duplicated. Well, when they get put on a blockchain, all of that changes. We can now track the entire chain of custody of that carbon credit. And so here's the exciting news for all of you in this carbon ag world is I spent the last 3 days with a company who is the leader, the worldwide leader in getting data for carbon. And so as some education for you guys to now be experts in carbon credits by the end of the night, the only way to go get your carbon credits verified was through a nonprofit company that has a backlog of projects of 3 years and 55,000 projects. What this means is if you have a way to generate these credits and you call this verifying company, they'll say, that's amazing. We'll send somebody out in 3 years and then we'll get it started in about 5 years. It's completely archaic and asinine. Well, with this new company, they have satellite footage and have created an AI interface and technology, and they've completely mapped the world over the last 5 years. And so with this satellite footage, they can see inside of 1 pixel down to 30 centimeters. So this is a little bit scary, but they can take a picture of your backyard. Okay, so think about Google Earth and now put that on steroids. Okay, that's what they've done. Well, you can now take this and you can go back 50 years to see how much carbon was sequestered or mitigated by the actions that have been taken in that piece of land. And with their AI, they can forecast forward how many credits could be achieved or garnered if you take certain things. What this does is that 3-year and 55,000 project backlog, we can now do it in 3 days. 3 days. And that company, who's the largest gold standard in the world, has contacted them, which is now us, to be the standard globally in carbon credits. And so we have the opportunity to be the blockchain for the carbon credit standard worldwide. And that was all done on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. So talk about being first movers. There's your exciting news for the day. And I know carbon credits may not be exciting to everyone, but this is why this is exciting, okay? When you talk about utility and you talk about driving a market and you talk about getting users and getting people onto a platform, which is the goal right now, is to build a community of people that use the platform, that drive utility, that drive transactions. We are talking about billions and billions of dollars and trillions of transactions of checking and verifying that data. I had a conversation yesterday with 2 companies that said we have $1 billion and $1.5 billion. And when you verify your credits with the process that we're creating, we will buy all of them. All of them, every single one. There is not a bigger market in the world right now than what we're doing. And why this is exciting for me is when you go to the idea of tracking and tracing food and knowing what we do to track and trace food, we cannot do that with the farms at scale today. It's going to be very difficult. I already told you it's a big lift, but kind of Ryan talked about the operations of this. This is all of you that have operational brains. Think about going to every production in the entire world in different countries and all the different ingredients and trying to track it all. It's a massive lift. This we can do today, tomorrow, this year, which is going to provide us the momentum to change the world on the food side. So that's carbon credits. That's what I get excited about, and that's what keeps me up at night. Now you guys know. What else we are doing is, you saw in that video, we have grow boxes. These are some of the most innovative grow boxes in the world. They do carbon credits. They do food. They can do 160 acres of wheat with 2% of the water. So what you would take on 160 acres in one of these towers, they can grow the equivalent of 160 acres with 2% of the water. So their markets are Africa, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all of those countries that currently import their feed from the United States and Europe, massively expensive. They can get an ROI on this box in 12 months. And then we're working with some other companies that are doing it for people and the animals, or for people in their backyards. Lastly, our big goal, where do we want to go? I want every single person on the planet to win the bet that I did at the beginning of this, to where we know where our food comes from. We know what went into it. We know that it's going to have the most nutrient density, and that we're going to help each other. We're going to eat, and we're going to connect all of us with the origins of our food. So how can you be involved? You guys know, and Billy's going to talk a little bit here at the end, and I'm going to make sure I leave him some time, but I'm going to end with this, and then I'll open it up for some questions for me. Web 1 was the information economy. This is where Google, Internet Explorer, Yahoo came in, and they said, hey, at your fingertips, you can have as much information as you can get your hands on. And that led to the platform economy, which said, hey, not only do we want you to be consumers, but we want you to be creators. So now you can come create on the platform, which was amazing. But in both of those models, it was a centralized system where that was owned by a centralized model. Well, Web3 and blockchain is the ownership economy. I do not own the Grow blockchain. I founded the core tech that led to the ability to create a decentralized system. And I gave that tech to the blockchain, to all of us, to every single node owner that's on this call. Well, as that grows and as these projects grow and as the utility in these projects grow, guess who wins? All of us. And I win just as much as you win. And the more people that we add to this, they win with us. And so that's the opportunity, is to get involved with good projects that want to decentralize, change the world, and be a part of it on the ownership side, not just be an observer.